వందే శంభుముమాపతిం సురగురుం వందే జగత్కారణం వందే పన్నగభూషణం శశిధరం వందే పశూనాం పతిం వందే సూర్య శశాంకవన్నినయనం వందే ముకుందప్రియం వందే భక్తజన ఆశ్రయం చ వరదం వందే భక్తజన ఆశ్రయం చ వరదం వందే శివం శంకరం. Esteemed friends, peacefulness and usefulness are the obverse and reverse of the coin yoga. A yogi is always peaceful. A yogi is free from tension, is free from stress. A yogi is free from desire. A yogi is free from fear. A yogi is free from anxiety. A yogi is free from egoism. A yogi at the same time is useful to others. A yogi cannot afford to be self-centered. A yogi is always spontaneous in serving the people, in serving the nature, in serving every species. Hatred is unknown to a yogi. Love is the very personality of yogi. Swami Vivekananda, right from the childhood, is of the opinion that everybody has to practice peacefulness through meditation, usefulness through service. Therefore, in his childhood, he was accustomed to meditation. Not only did he meditate on Sri Ram in his puja room, but he was also able to meditate on Sri Shiva in the puja room. Whatever may be the deity placed in front of him, he was readily in a position to meditate on that particular image of the Almighty. Also, he was useful to people. As and when he found any person in need, he rushed to his service. Once he found one of his friends being caught under the wheels of a cart. He rushed to the bullock cart or the horse carriage, was able to save the person. Whenever he found a beggar in the street, he rushed to the kitchen, collected the food, gave it to the needy person. Similarly, every time he found a person in need, he found something like a blanket to serve the purpose. He was always generous. He was always meditating in silence. So much so, the very character of Swami Vivekananda is a combination of peacefulness and usefulness. We can infer the definition thereby. Yoga is to be peacefully useful and usefully peaceful. Right from his childhood, his mother Bhuvaneshwari Devi was narrating the story of the great epic Srimad Ramayana. Rama was extolled, Rama was praised, Rama was taken to the heights of a role model because he was observing the principle of Dushta Sikshana, Shishta Rakshana. Also, the principle of Abhayam Dadami Sarva Bhuteshu Yetat Vratam Mama. Rama's principle is to be useful, to offer fearlessness. Abhayam Dadami. I shall give, I shall grant Abhayam, fearlessness to all the species, to all the people. That was his principle. And he was able to maintain his yogic nature throughout. His usefulness was praiseworthy. Therefore, Narendranath was fond of Narottam Sri Ram. In his puja room, as a boy, he used to sit in front of Ram and meditate. One day there was a conversation, a debate, a discussion between young Naren and a senior person. The discussion was on the topic who was more useful or who is more useful to society. Is it a brahmachari or is it a householder? Naren is accustomed to seeing Ram as a role model. Naren is accustomed to meditating on Sri Ram. Naren is accustomed to worshipping Sri Ram. Therefore, he said, a householder like Sri Ram is more useful. The other person said, my dear Naren, good. Sri Ramachandra Prabhu is an avatara murti, he is useful. He has killed Ravana. He has saved Sugriva. He has offered protection to Vibhishana. He did enormous, generous deeds. But in the same Ramayana, you have Hanumanji. Without expecting anything in return, Hanuman was able to be useful to everybody. Nothing in return was expected by him. His place was at the feet of Sri Ram. Rama is a householder. Anjaneya is a brahmachari. Rama has served the society. Anjaneya has also served the society. But whose service do you consider to be more, better, greater? Certainly Anjaneya's, because there was no shade of selfishness. There was no shade of self-centeredness. There was no shade of expectation. He was spontaneous in serving. At the very first sight of Sri Ram, Anjaneya offered his all at the feet of Sri Ram. That is the servicing nature of Anjaneya. Almost all the characters in the Ramayana, after the arrival of Anjaneya, are benefited. Now, Anjaneya is proved to be of greater service to society than Sri Ram. The topic is who is more useful. Anjaneya is more useful. Now, Narendranath is a small boy. He went to the image of Sita Ram, looked at Ram. He did not find that image to be a simple idol. He found that image to be the live Sri Ram. He talked to him mentally. My dear Ram, I have been worshipping you, I have been meditating on you. I have considered you to be the role model. I have been worshipping you because you have been serving many people. Now, I find somebody else to be superior to you in service. I find Hanumanji to be better than you in serving the people. Why should I serve you? Why should I worship you? I can as well worship a person who is better than you. And impulsively, he went to the image of Sitaram. He took that image into his hands, went to the nearby window or door. He threw away the image. But a small boy he was, his heart was unable to be separated from the accustomed worship of Sri Ram. He felt vacant, though he had the strong conviction. Normally, ordinary people worship gods out of desire, out of fear. I have hundreds of desires. I go to Lord Venkatachalapati. I go to Lakshmi or Saraswati or Durga. I go to Shiva or Sri Rama or Sri Krishna. I fall at their feet, offer my puja or worship, adore them, adorn them, praise them, make an offering of myself, all with a desire that I should have this. I want money, I want position, I want power, I want increment, I want promotion. All are desires. When the desire is intense, the worship is intense. What is it that prompts me to worship a God? It is my desire. That is a normal person. Similarly, out of fear, every person is of fear. Fear of losing the reputation, fear of losing wealth, fear of death, fear of ill health, fear of future. There are so many types of fear haunting us. And now, to remove that fear, we go to worship. Or, there is another strange fear. If I don't worship God, I may have difficulties. I cannot afford to ignore the deity. I cannot afford to stop my worship out of fear. Fear of punishment, fear of disease, fear of death, fear of God's wrath or nature's anger. There are so many types of fear. Normal people worship God because they have the desires, they have the fears. But a yogi is not prompted by these two, desire or fear. A yogi offers the prayer just for the sake of prayer. Nothing in return is expected. The yogic symptoms, the yogic traits or qualities are available in Swami Vivekananda right from the childhood. He is drawn to Ram, or he is drawn to Shiva, or he is drawn to Anjaneya Swami or any other deity, not on account of fear or desire. It is because he admires the deity on account of the principle embodied. Satyavakya Paripalana of Sri Ram fascinated him. Pitruvakya Paripalana of Sri Ram has won the heart of Vivekananda. Usefulness to the society performed by Sri Ramachandra Prabhu has won the heart of Vivekananda. So also Shiva, when he rushed to his mother Bhuvaneshwari Devi with a vacant heart, as soon as the image of Sita Ram was thrown away, Bhuvaneshwari Devi suggested, "Why, my boy, you worship Shiva?" Now, Naren is able to get the image of Shiva. The image of Shiva is brought and placed on the pedestal in front of Naren in the puja room. He looked at Shiva. "My dear Shiva, my Ram in one way is better than you. My Ram has only one wife. My dear Shiva, you have two wives. One is on your head, Ganga. To the other you have given half the body. She is Parvati. You are called Ardhanarishwar. Is it not a fact that Ganga is a river? If she is a river, how can she be a woman? Even if you consider the river to be a woman, how is it possible for a woman to sit on your head? Is it only symbolic? Is it only a message to be conveyed to us? Or is there anything real about it? There is a transplantation of parts. There may be skin transplantation, kidney transplantation. But is there ever a surgery of half the body of a man and half the body of a woman brought together and put together, stitched together? How is it possible to be half man, half woman? We can see feminine men. We can see masculine woman. But in you, we have to see the left side to be a woman, right side to be a man. Is it ever possible for any person to be half man, half woman? Do you really exist? Does a person like you ever exist? Is it ever possible for anybody to have a river in the matted hair of the head? The moon is found in the sky. And how can that moon be brought and placed on a person's head? If you are a person, do you have parents? Do you have a date of birth? Do you have a date of death? People say, Adi Madhyanta Rahita. There is no beginning. There is no birth. There is no end. There is no death. And you have no parents. How is it possible for you to come to this earth without parents? How is it possible for the moon to be on the head of a man? How is it possible for a river to be a woman and a woman to sit on your head? How is it possible for any person to have half man, half woman's body? It's strange. Do you exist? Does God exist? This is the enquiry after truth. A yogi is a jnani. A jnani is a knower of truth. Before knowing the truth, one has to make an enquiry. Enquirer after truth. A boy of 7 years, Narendranath, He is accustomed to doing the meditation spontaneously and he is peaceful. As a boy of very tender age, he is accustomed to be spontaneously serving the people at the physical level, at the emotional level, at intellectual level. He has protected many a person and he has saved many people from the dangers and difficulties. He is a very good, generous person in feeding the people. He is good at giving the clothes to the needy people. One side he is useful, on another side he is peaceful. Now he has become an inquirer after truth. He has to listen to the teachers. He has to study the scriptures to know the truth. Now, Swami Vivekananda as a young boy raised question after question. There are two types of people, atheists and theists. A theist is a person, T-H-E-I-S-T, theist is a person who has belief or faith in the existence of God. Atheist, A-T-H-E-I-S-T, atheist is a person who does not believe in the existence of God. Swami Vivekananda, right from the childhood, is neither a theist nor an atheist. He is an agnostic. A-G-N-O-S-T-I-C. Siddhartha or Buddha is supposed to be an agnostic. If you say that there is no God, no proof. If you say there is God, there is not sufficient evidence. You cannot believe. You cannot disbelieve. You are only trying to know the truth. You are trying to make an investigation. You are an inquirer after truth. A yogi follows the path of inquiry and arrives at the truth. Right from the childhood, Swami Vivekananda is an inquirer after truth. He started asking people, whoever appeared to be saintly, the same question, sir, is there God? Does God exist? Have you seen God? When he was unable to get the right reply, he resorted to studying books, scriptures. He grew to be a student of the UG class, undergraduate class, and all the while searching for the truth. We shall see how his enquiry becomes fruitful in the later lectures. Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukhaswarupaya Swamine Tapaharine Swamine Tapaharine.